Welcome to Alaska Weather, a production of Alaska Public Media and the National Weather Service, Alaska Region. Produced and broadcast daily from the studios of KAKM, Alaska Weather provides complete forecasts, public, marine, and aviation for all of Alaska. Alaska Weather is made possible by the following sponsors.
The National Weather Service.
Hello everyone, and thanks again for joining us for this Sunday's show. Up on the advisory map here, there's a flood advisory for the Denali zone there in the Denali Park area for small streams are running at elevated levels, and due to the 1 to 2.5 inches of rain they've had here over the last day or so, some may rise to near or above bankfall, and that could result in some minor flooding. That's out for tonight is until 6:15 tomorrow morning. On yesterday's satellite imagery, we were watching a band of moisture here streaming northeastward toward the Panhandle. The main low way back here to the southwest. Pretty good weather over Kodiak, clearing out here over southern Alaska as this area of moisture gradually lifting northeastward. Another band of moisture out here inching its way in toward the southwest coast, some of that breaking off and sliding southeast. The other part kind of lifting northeastward here. And then a big low out over the western Bering Sea and a frontal system bringing gale force winds from the western into the central Aleutians. Well, today that front's still out there, and there are gale force winds with gusts of 50 miles per hour today with rain there for the central Aleutians on up into the central Bering Sea areas. And this area of moisture brought a lot of clouds in over the southwest interior. In fact, clouds all the way up to the Alaska Range, but some good sunshine breaking out today over south central Alaska, Sitna Valley, in toward Prince William Sound. And then this low center tracking northward brought some rain into the northern southeast coast throughout the day today. Sitka picking up about 3/4 of an inch of rain, while Juneau had about 1/3 of an inch in the last 24 hours. Lesser amounts down to the south and more sunshine down that way, but Klawock picking up some rain at 4 p.m. This area of moisture bringing some significant rainfall again into the Denali area. Nenana picking up about 3/4 of an inch in the last 24 hours there, lighter amounts toward Fairbanks, but some showers extending all the way back across the Koyukuk Valley into the Brooks Range, all the way to the central Arctic coast, where Barrow reported some rain today, and then all this cloudiness here along the west coast. Here's the low center here tracking northward, and it's about ready to pull off to the east there, but a lot of sunshine, Copper River Basin, Prince William Sound, all of south central Alaska and the Kenai Peninsula, northeast Bristol Bay. Clear skies there for Kodiak Island, and then the scattered showers of this trough back here to the west, and then that low up over the northeast interior triggered some thunderstorms up around Arctic Village this afternoon. Low clouds and fog there along the Arctic coast with areas of light rain and showers with the rainfall at Barrow, Wainwright down to half a mile in fog this afternoon. And then out here to the west, that south to north flow really making it tough for this front to make much eastward progress there with winds gusting again up to 50 miles per hour, those gale force winds right into the central Bering Sea here. We'll see tonight new low center pushes right up to about Adak, and that'll shift the winds over to the east there along with the rain. So look for increasing rain and wind for the eastern Aleutian areas. Low clouds and fog here covering the eastern Bering Sea from the Alaska Peninsula all the way up into the Bering Strait. And that same pattern all along the Arctic coast as well. Still looking for some showers up here over the eastern North Slope and the Brooks Range area with partial clearing possibly there into the Koyukuk Valley. Less in the way of showers over the Tanana and eastern interior tonight, and fair skies here over south central Alaska, the North Gulf Coast looking really good, still fair over Kodiak Island, some breaks there over Bristol Bay in the southwest interior. This low shifting inland over the southern southeast coast, that'll bring some rain and showers now. Heaviest amounts will start to fall here over the southern areas with more showery conditions back to the northwest. And tomorrow that low will pull eastward, so a lot of showers lingering here over the southern southeast coast, but those should end throughout the day and maybe get in some partial clearing here over the northern areas. It's going to stay sunny again for the North Gulf Coast. Prince William Sound looking good. Temperatures in the 60s to mid 70s once again. Sunshine with just some variable high clouds here for south central Alaska. Another sunny day in store for Kodiak Island. But look for some scattered thunderstorms to possibly develop over the Copper River Basin areas from the Wrangell Mountains up over the eastern Alaska Range. Also over the eastern Brooks Range again and the eastern interior with some scattered showers lingering here over the lower to mid, or actually the mid Yukon Valley, lower Koyukuk Valley, back into the Selawik Valley there. Some of that leftover moisture that's currently down here over the southwest coast will slide up to the northeast there, but high pressure will keep the winds light there up over the northwest interior as well as the Arctic coast. Look for that low cloud and fog condition to continue. Rain again pushing up to the Alaska Peninsula tomorrow. This low lifting northward west of the Pribilof, so possible gale force winds there, but small craft advisories are in the forecast with small craft advisories along the Alaska Peninsula. And for the outlook on Tuesday, that front really weakens as it pushes east and northeastward there. A band of showers and rain from Norton Sound up across the Seward Peninsula, passing over St. Lawrence Island late tomorrow night and early on Tuesday with some improvement in the afternoon. Scattered showers, a lot of clouds here over the southwest coast and into the interior. Chance of showers along the western Alaska Range, locally down into the western Cook Inlet areas, but scattered thunderstorms there for the eastern Alaska Range as well as the upper Tanana Valley. Could be a thunderstorm there near Eagle, as well as over the Koyukuk Valley. Scattered showers there over the west central Brooks Range, but it should be fair back here to the west. No change to the Arctic coast, low clouds and fog there with winds remaining on the light side with some fair skies possible there over the eastern Brooks Range area. And also the southeast coast, these showers lingering here along the Canadian border, but look for some partly sunny skies there for just about the entire stretch of the coastline, especially up toward Yakutat. Should be a partly sunny day in the Copper River Basin with just those afternoon mountain thunderstorms possible there. It'll be a little more cloudier here over south central Alaska than it was today or will be tomorrow, but chances of rain are pretty slight. Most of that will be down across Kodiak Island. That front passing in from the west there will bring a chance of rain in during the day, but nothing significant or heavy at all, and just pretty intermittent and scattered. Temperatures along the southeast coast this afternoon ranged from 54 degrees there at Juneau, 55 at Sitka, and up to 70 at Ketchikan, 61 at Klawock with a little bit of light rain this afternoon, 59 at Yakutat with cloudy skies, 65 at Cordova. Upper 60s to lower 70s here for northern Cook Inlet. Seward was a warm spot in the state today with 75 degrees where they had north winds gusting over 20 miles per hour. A nice 72 there at Talkeetna and 68 over at Gulkana, 64 at Northway, but still kind of chilly into the rain and clouds here over the Tanana Valley. Fairbanks 53, 59 at Tanana, and a 60-degree reading at Bettles. Up to the north there, 55 at Arctic Village, and 50 degrees over at Dead Horse. Otherwise, lower 40s there for the central and western Arctic coast, but warming as you head down the coastline. 56 at Cape Lisburne with sunshine, clouds, and 46 at Point Hope. 58 degrees at Buckland with a 54 at Kotzebue, 50 also over at Nome, 4 degrees warmer at Golovin, and over the southwest, in the northern Kuskokwim Valley, McGrath came in with 59, mostly in the mid-50s here over the southwest interior. Pretty uniform cloud cover in this area west of the mountains there. But some more sunshine again. King Salmon pushed up to 65, but generally in the mid to upper 50s here for the Alaska Peninsula, lower 50s to upper 40s for the Aleutians. And the lows for tonight in the 40s to lower 50s here over the interior areas, as well as south central Alaska, mostly in the 50s here for the southeast coast, and upper 40s to lower 50s out over the Bering Sea and the Aleutians. And for the highs tomorrow, into the 70s again. Susitna Valley areas, the Kenai Peninsula, Anchorage, Palmer, Valdez should see 72 tomorrow, and possibly even Seward again with some 70-degree readings over the Copper River Basin. Otherwise, upper 60s to lower 70s through the interior, 40s to mid-50s for the Arctic coast, and the southeast coast here mostly in the 60s with Skagway possibly reaching 71. Flying weather, look for some lingering marginal VFR here throughout the day over the southern southeast coast, becoming VFR up to the north, all back along the North Gulf Coast, just like today, VFR flying Prince William Sound, south central Alaska, much of the interior as well. Could be some marginal VFR here over the eastern interior as well as the Arctic coast. Most of that IFR will be off the coast by tomorrow afternoon. And IFR here from St. Lawrence Island through the central Bering Sea, including the Pribilofs down to the eastern Aleutian areas with more IFR out to the west, but much of the southwest coast here forecast to be VFR. And passes Anaktuvik, marginal becoming VFR throughout the day tomorrow. Anaktuvik starting, or Adigan also starting out marginal becoming VFR. Lake Clark and Merrill VFR. Good forecast for rainy, open pass there. Windy starting out marginal, becoming VFR. Isabel starting out marginal as well. And Mentasta starting out marginal, but becoming VFR and throughout the day. Tanita VFR. And Portage looking pretty good as well. Chilkoot and White both VFR. Freezing levels about 8,000 feet here over much of interior Alaska, 10,000 feet over Bristol Bay, Kodiak Island, the southern Kenai Peninsula. Not much variation down the southeast coast. Then it cools off a little bit down to about 6,000 feet over the southwest Bering and western Aleutians. And some icing will be sliding northeastward across the eastern Aleutians into the Alaska Peninsula, wrapping back in over the Pribilof Islands, getting close to Nunivak Island there, and then mostly along and south of the Fox Islands here tomorrow, but really bearing down on the Alaska Peninsula of light to isolated moderate rime above 10,000 feet. Otherwise, the remainder of the state icing free. And for the winds aloft, again, southwest jet here, 120 knots carrying that system right up to the northeast there. Kind of a split through here. Northwest flow tomorrow, still 25 to 40 knots through the central interior. But that split in the flow, that's going to really weaken that front on Tuesday when it rolls up into the southwest interior. 9,000 foot wind showing west-northwesterlies 10 to 20 knots into the panhandle. High pressure through and along the west coast. There are 35 knot winds from the southeast along the southwest coast. Southwest 20 to 25 knots over the southern Bering Sea and the Aleutians. And looking at turbulence, again, light to isolated moderate chop for Nunivak Island, maybe Cape Newenham. Otherwise, light turbulence just grazing the southwest coastline here. And then some mechanical moderate chop, pretty likely for the Alaska Peninsula below about 6,000 feet, extending back to Unalaska Dutch Harbor, and then some more turbulence out over the central Aleutian areas. Otherwise, looking pretty smooth here over all of mainland Alaska, the North Gulf Coast, on down across the Panhandle. And after the break, I'll be back to look at the marine forecasts.
When wildfires occur, homes and the landscape interact with natural forces. And the results are often devastating. Though the vast and varied beauty of our country offers endless landscaping opportunities, no region is safe from wildland fire. Of special concern are the areas where dwellings abut forests, often referred to as the wildland-urban interface. Often thought to be a problem in only western states, major wildland fires have occurred all across the United States. In 1985, 400 homes were lost in Florida in a matter of hours. In 1987, more than 2,400 fires spread over the rich forest lands in Washington, Oregon, and Northern California. In 1988, natural fires destroyed individual homes and threatened small towns on the edges of Yellowstone National Park. In 1991, the worst interface fire in recent U.S. history literally incinerated over 3,000 homes in Oakland, California in only a few hours. Forest fires, house fires. More and more, the two are inseparable, and the potential exists all over the country during wildfire season. In this program, we'll explore several factors that make wildland-urban interface fires so destructive, including seasonal effects, natural forces, and people. We'll look at fire growth and behavior, and how they are affected by arrangement and type of fuels, the terrain, wind, and finally, we'll have a brief look at landscape principles, from site evaluation and plant selection to placement and maintenance, all of which can help protect a home from an advancing wildfire. In a typical year, wildfires begin in the southeastern states in spring. Dry winters the previous year cause grasses and trees to become combustible, and wildfires occur in the northeast and the southwestern states. The changing jet stream continues to warm the continent, and the westernmost states experience numerous wildland fires in the mid to late summer. Finally, the annual wildfire season ends as fall drying increases the frequency of wildfires in the northeast, southeast, and southwest. Wildfire is nature's way of clearing dead materials from the forest, enriching the soil, and preparing the earth for new growth. Following the Yellowstone fires, grasses and plants not seen in the park for generations reappeared, given new life by sunlight falling once again through forest canopies, warming newly enriched soil. The wildfire problem, though, is not limited to nature. As people move into areas where wildfires have occurred for centuries, they add fuels that can accelerate the spread of fire. Whether simple cabins, mobile homes, or large, expensive developments, all are constructed in the wakes of past fires and in the path of future fires. When firefighters are called to fires in these areas, their limited resources force the choice between attacking the fire or defending the home. Homeowners in or near wildland areas must assume some responsibility for protecting their property. But even with widespread media coverage that accompanies major fires, many remain unaware of how wildfires behave or the preventive actions they can take to defend themselves and their homes. Fire in any environment follows a path controlled by the amount and type of fuel, the contours of the terrain, and wind, its velocity and direction. Fire needs fuel, something to burn, like grass, trees, or the homes nestled among them. To an interface fire, homes and other structures become merely fuel. Fires start and burn rapidly in light fuels, like grass, which in turn provides a path to trees. Once at the base of a tree, fire can move into low branches and climb to the top or crown. This arrangement, known as ladder fuels, is one of the more significant ways wildfires gain strength and power. The slope of the terrain is also a major factor in a wildfire spread and intensity. The flame on a match lingers and eventually dies as long as the fuel remains level. But if a match is held at an angle, the fire burns hotter and faster as it climbs. This is the way wildfire spreads. The fire heats and dries fuels above it, causing them to burn. Many homes have been lost because they were located in the upward path of a fire. Wind is also a major factor. Fires need air to continue burning, and large fires need a lot of air. Wind can cause wildfires to grow quickly, to die down, to change direction, or even to move downhill as fast as they do uphill. Burning leaves can be deposited on and around structures. These spot fires can grow, and their combined heat can cause a structure to burn well in advance of the wildfire. Similarly, a house fire can release embers which spread to other homes and trees. But a home's chances of survival can be improved through the careful planning and design of the structure and the area around it. This area is often referred to as defensible space, and it is here that landscape professionals create both visual harmony and fire safety, using appropriate landscape design principles. Evaluating a property for the initial design depends, of course, on the structure, the terrain, and soil types. Site evaluation is also affected by other factors, including existing structures, lot configuration, and natural vegetation. Experience has shown that landscape design is one of the most important factors in a home's survival. When beginning the design process, consider the following fire safety issues. The location of the home on the lot contributes to its safety from wildfire. Located on a steep slope, This home is in danger from wildfire climbing the slope, and the chances of igniting the structure are increased drastically. The goal then is to develop a landscape whose design and choice of plants offer the best fire protection. The selection of plants and mulches, the placement and construction of patios and decks, and areas such as driveways and walks provide opportunities both to enhance the property and to provide an added degree of fire protection. Many techniques and ideas will help address the issues of fire-wise planning, but none can guarantee complete safety. A good fire-wise landscape is dependent on other factors, such as the condition and maintenance of the neighboring property. Fire does not respect boundary lines. An ideal strategy would be to surround the house with things that simply will not burn. But nothing is fireproof. Consider these basic guidelines for designing fire safety into landscape designs. Reduce or eliminate highly flammable plants, especially those that overhang chimneys and roofs, and clear away dead brush and wood regularly. Eliminate ladder fuels, which enable a fire to climb into low-hanging branches of trees and then to the home. Pruning tree branches 6 to 10 feet helps reduce the ladder effect. Driveways, open expanses of lawn, and walkways can interrupt a fire's path. The analyses of wildland-urban interface fires shows that as the distance of dense, flammable vegetation from a house increases, so do its chances of survival. A well-maintained lawn or ground cover provides an effective and attractive defensible space by keeping fire a safe distance from the house. It also provides firefighters an area to locate equipment and hoses to further protect the structure. Trees should be carefully spaced to reduce the density of vegetation. The removal of flammable debris interrupts the fire's path. Some designs use mulch, such as pine needles, as natural walkways. A more fire-conscious selection is the use of rock for walkways instead of the more traditional and flammable mulch. These guidelines provide only a framework for creating fire-safe landscapes. Remember, fire safety doesn't mean stripping away everything from around the home. Although dead leaves can allow fire to spread, removing all leaf litter depletes the soil of nutrients. And though pruning is a sound way to eliminate ladder fuels, improper pruning damages plants and trees and disrupts the environmental balance of the property. Landscapes that are easy for homeowners to maintain are more desirable than highly complex arrangements that are neglected. Over time, plants grow and spread. Mulches dry out. Leaves and pine needles accumulate. All contribute to the fuels from which a fire grows. Proper maintenance improves appearance and helps protect the structure from wildfire. For centuries, the solitude and peace of nearby wildlands has lured many away from the confinements and pressures of urban life. We should encourage those who live there to be wise about the landscape. Indeed, fire-wise.
Small craft advisories for most of the outer coastline tomorrow from the northwest, while the inside channels, lighter winds, mostly from northwest as well, and northerlies at about 15 for northern Lynn Canal. And then on Tuesday, we've got westerly winds 15 to 20 knots for the north coast. Still the small craft advisories there on the south coast, and not much change over the inside waters at all, north to northwest, about 10 knots with seas 2 feet or less. And for Prince William Sound and northern Cook Inlet, or all of Cook Inlet, northwest at 10 knots, west to northwest 15 here for the North Gulf Coast. Small craft advisories for Kamishak Bay and down across the Barren Islands for west-northwest winds at 25 knots. And taking a look at Tuesday, Shelikof Strait, southwest 15 right up across Kamishak Bay. Westerlies at 15 for the east side of Kodiak Island, and west to southwest winds here for the North Gulf Coast as well. Light variable winds for Prince William Sound and light southwest breeze there for northern Cook Inlet. And for Bristol Bay, tomorrow southeast at about 10 knots. Small craft advisories here for south to southeast winds 25 to 30 knots there for the Alaska Peninsula. And then on Tuesday, we've got southwesterlies 20 to 25 knots here on the south side of the peninsula, the north side lighter winds from the same direction with seas running about 3 to 5 feet. And for the Fox Islands tomorrow, south to southeast winds 30 to 35 knots. So there are some gale warnings out for the northern areas there for tomorrow. And otherwise back to the western Aleutians, southwest at 20 knots, lighter southerly winds here as you get out towards Shemya and Attu. And then for Tuesday, westerlies 20 to 25 knots here, taking a turn to the southwest at 15 to 25 knots across the eastern Aleutians with seas running 5 to 11 feet. And going to the southwest coast, southeasterlies 20 to 25 knots with mostly 20-knot winds up across St. Lawrence Island. Small craft advisories for the northern Bering Sea. Southeasterlies will go 30 knots the way it looks at this point in time. Small craft advisories anyway there for the Pribilofs with seas at about 11 feet. And then much lighter winds in store for Tuesday there, coming down to 15 from the southwest. That'll extend right up in toward Kuskokwim Bay. Otherwise, small craft advisories continue there for the St. Lawrence Island area for easterlies at 25 knots, seas at about 7 feet. For the central Arctic coast there, light variable winds tomorrow with slight seas, otherwise northwest 5 to 10 knots for the eastern stretch of the coastline there. Back from Wales to Cape Beaufort, southerlies at about 20 knots with southwest at 15 for the western coast. And then they all go easterly on Tuesday, 10 to 15 knots here on the eastern coast of the central areas, and then about 20 knots here for the west side, Wales to Cape Lisburn, easterlies at about 15. And taking a look at, again tonight, we've got rain here over the southeast coast, rain and showers at low center pushing in over the southern areas. So the heavier rain will, it'll get heavier there, a little more widespread than what you saw today over the southern areas. Back to the northwest, it'll start to scatter out a little more. Fair here along the North Gulf Coast areas with still winds possibly as high as 30 miles an hour, places like Whittier, maybe Seward. Otherwise, scattered showers in the interior diminishing, high pressure along the southwest coast. Here's the next front pushing the small craft advisory and gale force winds tomorrow or tonight, advancing toward the central Aleutians tomorrow. Rain and wind there pushing over to the Alaska Peninsula with that system. Rain off the southwest coast, just an increase in the clouds. Most of the moisture will be back toward the Pribilofs. Scattered thunderstorms over the eastern interior, sunny again across southern Alaska, and then a very weak front brings some clouds into south central Alaska the next.
These forecasts are to be used for planning purposes only. Call 1-800-WX-BRIEF for a formal pre-flight briefing. Always file a flight plan before you go flying. The U.S. Coast Guard Auxiliary urges you to leave a float plan with a friend or the harbor master before you go boating. Alaska Weather is made possible by the following sponsors.
The National Weather Service.